I want to spend some time on polarity as your legacy. So you've highlighted that you want this work to be your legacy. Why is that so important to you?
I am ready to tell the truth about what I know, what's restored me, and what I know is possible for people both individually and collectively. And polarity is a way for people to have access to their birthright of knowing the truth of who they are. And because I've been able to work with such a diverse group of people and to see people that have been marginalized or excluded or dismissed and tried to even be destroyed, and to see them come alive, that means everything to me. And I want that power to happen in this world. And I know that this is a pathway that can get people there. And I don't want it just to be about Suzanne Roberts. I want it to be about the pathway that other people can take the torch and help create personal and collective liberation through us coming alive together. I think for me, it took a long time. I wrote for 6 years, actually, but I couldn't figure out how to make the work accessible and explain it in a way and teach it. And I kept going round in circles until I realized my son said to me, people aren't going to care about polarity if they don't care about you. You have to share your story.
If you have been looking under every stone for answers, through books, workshops, retreats, and other people's wisdom, stop. Only by turning your gaze inward will you find the truth that's been waiting for you all along.
There is a treasure hidden inside you, invisible to your eyes. This treasure may be unknown to you now, yet it is knowable within. You have everything you need already right inside of you. Your soul, a drop of the eternal ocean of love, is pulsing inside of you every moment. Your soul is waiting for your discovery and homecoming.
It's taken me a long time to figure out how to talk about this on screen. I'm not going to share on screen what's actually in the book. It's too much to listen to, and you wouldn't listen to anything else. So to make it more succinct, what I would say is I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse by my father with very complicated circumstances. And there's no way that a child can comprehend the horrors of that kind of trauma. And so the mind does some very creative things in order to survive. And what my mind did was it interpreted that something must be wrong with me for my father to do that. That I must be an absolutely horrible person. I must be worthless. And also the thought crossed my mind while it was happening is I'd rather die than be here experiencing this. So my mind started going on repeat. You're worthless. You must be horrible. You should sacrifice yourself. Dying is better than living. And even when the events stopped happening, my mind was still on that loop over and over and over again. So I was living suffering greatly with my own mental torture. And fortunately, I have a very curious mind. So I loved physics, and I loved the concept of energy and energy movement and movement in motion. And I heard about something called polarity therapy, which is really energy applied to health and healing. And while I thought it was weird, I went because of energy. And it was there that I learned that there is an operating system inside of us that's based on energy movement. And what that design is that our soul, which is a drop of the eternal ocean of love, or part of the source of life for all of creation, is sending a current through us. It's the positive pole, and it sends a current to the negative pole and returns. So there's a way that we're designed to remember the truth of who we are as a radiant soul. And I was struck by how can there be this incredible gift inside of me a living energy that I've been given that lets my heart beat, that lets me breathe. And how can I hate myself so much and want to die? And it didn't make it was like cognitive dissonance. And I couldn't dispute that there's an energy source that's letting me live. I couldn't dispute that. And if that energy source is eternally benevolent, then there's benevolence inside of me. And so I started working with my own mind to use this living model of energy to restore my mind so I could begin to find a way to live and truly live and not just forcefully live while I'm suffering. What took me to my first polarity class was my curiosity about energy. I didn't have any way to relate that to health and healing, so I was curious, and I figured health had to do with the body. So I went to my first class and I introduced myself to the teacher, and I said to him, "Could you help me with my neck?" I was so excited. And he looked at me and he said, "It's much deeper than that." And I'm like, "What's deeper than my neck? I want you to make my neck feel better." And then I started listening to what I've shared with you about the battery, or that we have an operating system inside of us that's based on energy movement, polarities, and that basically that what we're saying is that our soul consciousness, or that current of energy, is operating through the material form with a direction of returning to itself. That translates that there's a deeper purpose and design for us as human beings to have access to our own soul consciousness or our own radiance inside, or we have access to waves of peace governed by the source of life for all of creation. And why would we not want access to that treasure that's inside of us, giving us the very gift of life? One of the things I was fascinated with in terms of looking at how does energy conduct inside of us as human beings, it's thinking about what is a source of energy. So at home, we turn our lights off and then we turn them on, and we don't think about the fact of what's providing energy to turn the light on. And so I was thinking about what is the source that turns our light on and keeps our light on inside of us while we're here. We call death when the soul leaves the body. So the soul is, while it sounds like esoteric, it's actually just an energy current. So let's make it practical. It's the infinite made practical. The soul's an energy current that's sending through us, and it operates, all energy in motion operates with polarities just like a battery. In order for energy to move, there has to be a positive pull, a negative pull, and a neutral gradient. And that happens at a micro level and a macro level. It's just operative everywhere. And inside of us as human beings, the way our battery works is our positive pull. This is in the ideal pattern. Our positive pull is our soul, a drop of the eternal ocean of love. So it has the essence of the source for all of life in it, and it sends without discrimination. So it sends to a negative pull. The negative pull will then return it through a neutral gradient. That's how energy moves in a battery. It conducts through a neutral gradient. Inside of us, that neutral gradient would be our mind. However, how often is our mind neutral? But the ideal pattern is that our mind would be neutral and the soul would be conducting energy through us to remember itself, or to come to know our deepest self as a radiant soul. Well, I also know that in a battery, there's a liquid medium to conduct energy. So then I was curious, what's the liquid medium inside of us to conduct the energy of our own soul? And that liquid medium is our cerebral spinal fluid. If you've ever heard of cranial sacral therapy, that's what it's based on, that there's a pump between the cranium and the sacrum that literally pumps the fluid that distributes the flow of energy of your soul energy current throughout you. And the more free flowing it is, the better we feel, the more healthy we feel, the more vibrant, vital, clear, peaceful, and with a lot of equanimity. So that's the hope for all of us. Well, when I understood that this current was inside me conducting through my cerebral spinal fluid, I was like, how come I don't know that? How come I don't have that experience if that is true? So I decided to create a laboratory for myself, just like a physics or a chemistry laboratory, because I needed to find out if what intellectually I was understanding was true inside of me. So I happened to live in beautiful California at the time, and I lived near these fire roads that were on cattle ranches. So I would hike up these fire roads, and there would be no people. There would hardly be any cows, to tell you the truth, but there were these incredible eucalyptus trees. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna lay here and find out if I can experience this current inside of me. And I laid there and I could feel gravity working, and I was looking up at the sky and seeing the leaves flutter in the wind and feeling the breeze, and I'm lying there curious with an inward attentiveness. And sure enough, over a period of time through stillness, I began to experience the pulsing of the current inside of me, and then I knew it was true. And life can never be the same once any of us have access to that current inside of us. It changes how we think about ourselves. It changes how we relate to ourselves and each other. It's a life-changing experience. If you were going to describe polarity to someone that didn't know about it, what would you say?
The simplest way, polarity is a pathway to guiding you back to remembering who you really are. Really, when you get onto the path of polarity, it's not that it's all like, oh. It makes you tear down the barriers, the walls, and when you can just remember and connect back with yourself, there you find love, there you find your peace, there you find your abundance, because abundance it's all things. All life is abundant. True abundance, not just wealth. And then when you can connect, or when I connected to myself in that way, but to describing this to someone, when you connect to life in that way within yourself, then all of these other things are just naturally attracted to you, because it's who you are, not what you have to attain.
To me, polarity is that livingness, that life force that runs through us and through all living things. It is what connects us, and it is also, again, the truing rod, or that inner compass that at once affirms our soul consciousness, our aliveness, our vitality, and it is what connects us to all things. So it's like an energetic consciousness, I feel, that is a web that in my experience, runs through all of life.
You know, polarity is a way to understand the truth of yourself and how you're designed to exist in the larger pattern of life, you know? And I think that through that understanding, I think you really achieve like a type of liberation that is much more difficult to get when you're only focused on like sort of the world of form, right? It's like a type of liberation that allows you to be fully in your own radiance, and an understanding that in doing that, you are also being like the greatest contribution that you can be in this life pattern that you're in. It's not about like doing something for someone else, right? But if you can exist in the magnitude of who you really are, that in and of itself is enough. That is the service, right?
The mind loses neutrality when it starts to take over as the positive pole, replacing the natural position of the soul. Different spiritual teachers have stated, quote, "The mind itself assumed the role of the creator and sustainer, and it is the mind which prompts one to go astray." And this is true. When the mind loses the guidance, wisdom, and knowledge from our higher self, we end up confused, frustrated, and suffering. We spend most of our life completely unaware and unconscious of our mind becoming the dictator, driving our own misery. So let's look at some of the ways our mind leads us astray. Seduction by the senses, designing agendas, leading with bias, outward seeking for fulfillment, building identity by virtues of righteousness, attachment, and pride, seeking safety, belonging, dignity, value, and connection from the world. So the mind, it can either be our ally or our foe. When we let it become the positive pole and dominate, it is not our ally. Our mind directs our attention. Attention is a soul quality. So it's upon us to decide, how do we want to use our mind? Do we want it to govern without guidance from our deepest self? Or do we want to be inspired by our soul and our higher self and our deepest self, and let the mind be informed? When we reckon with that we've been given this gift of life energy, once again, our heart cannot beat without it. We can't breathe without it. It is an electrical current giving us the very gift of life. When we actually really come to terms with that, inherent inside of us is knowledge. It's knowing. If our soul is a drop of the eternal ocean of love, maybe not cognitively, but we have knowing inside of us that's deeper than our cognition. And when we can get still and tune into ourselves, there's so much knowledge to be had inside of us, so much internal guidance, so much wisdom that can help lead us and guide us and not be led astray by our fickle mind. So, and the other thing I want to say is that we do have agency. We may have been victim to circumstances in our life. Certainly I was, but I have agency over my mind. And if we say that this pathway of the Great Reconnection is to slowly return the mind towards neutrality so that the soul can reign supreme again, and we can be guided by that soul current, we do have agency over our mind. I'm not saying it's easy work, but we have to decide, do I want my mind to be governed by soul life-giving qualities, or do I want my mind to be governed by my history, by my trauma, by negative habits of self-deception and self-criticism? We have a choice. And to think that we don't have a choice isn't true. Circumstances may be happening outside of us, but we can determine how we think about them, and that is on us and up to us.
We talked about value, and I was like, am I working to prove myself, or am I proving my worth or valuing myself? with the worth that is already within me. Something like that. I don't remember the words, but I remember writing it in my polarity book. And I studied that thing. I looked at that thing, and I decided that I did not want to be a victim of hustle culture, because hustle culture, in my opinion, creates victims. You know, you want to work towards something, you have goals, and you know, fine. But that's not what I was doing. I was proving that I was fit to live on this planet. And that is exhausting. When the truth is, with the big T, is that I was given this gift of life, period. There's nothing that needs to go behind that.
I felt invisible. I felt worthless. I felt unlovable. I felt like I had to earn being alive. Those stories are all based on external feedback. My perception of the external feedback, but external feedback. And the more I did polarity, the more I cared less about external feedback and started really creating my own pathway of how I measure how I am in the world and who I am in the world in a way that is way, way less dependent on the reflection that I get from other people. It's still there. I mean, I wouldn't say that that doesn't matter to me. It only matters to me, though, if I really care about the person now. Mm. For me, there's nothing more disturbing than that my world experience has made me leave myself. Like, the rest of it is the rest of it. But the long-term effect of it, post-trauma, the long-term effect of it is that I killed my internal self in a way, even though I didn't kill my body. And that pisses me off, and I don't want that to win. Yeah. The rest of it, you know, the hypervigilance and the jumping at a noise, or that kind of stuff, I can live with that stuff and get better at that. But it took me away from me. And that's too much. That's too high a price.
Awesome.
But what I had access to was the me that is apart or devoid of the trappings of my earthly form. Right? The bigger self, the deeper self. I felt so disconnected from myself. And the deeper I went, the more I could feel that connection. Mm. And then that allowed an opening to connection to more. More in the universe, more in people, more in my relationship with myself, relationship with Source. So it's a very long and slow process to kind of move toward that. But I didn't have access to any of that, I don't feel like, when we started.
I guess it was just an orientation to just now. How do I deepen now? How do I reflect about, what do I care about? What do I stand for? How do I operate from that place? When am I off? When am I on? You know? And I definitely would say, the last few years I've been off center with everything, you know, but then you know, all you have to do is bring your attention to it, and it's right there waiting for you again, you know? Mm. So it's always this little gift that's always just there, you know, if you're willing to open it.
I have found that through polarity, going inside myself to be hard. And I have also found to continue in survival strategies when my life was calling for something different to also be hard. And so the choose your hard was which one is going to give me generation? Which one is going to, pull me towards life? which one is going to keep me safe and comfortable, but also small. So that's a minute by minute. This is hard. Sitting inside myself is hard. And I'm going to choose this hard today. Sometimes I may choose I'm going to just be small because that's just where I am. And that's hard. So acknowledging that both of those things are hard. One generates life inside of me. One keeps me small and disconnected.
For me, deepening into tuning into that current of life inside of me changed me slowly and dramatically, is what I'm going to say. Because as I became more aware of the livingness inside of me, I became more aware that I'm part of an inner web of living energy in everyone and everything. And it started having me question what I was observing in the world. And I started thinking about, if life energy is in everyone and everything, and it's bestowed upon all of us and everything by a giver of life that's generously benevolent, unbiased, unjudging, radiant love, then how come our social systems don't reflect that? I started seeing social systems as being human designed, not life energy designed. And being human designed, people were defining who had value and who didn't have value, and how our civic engagement got based on these really false notions. They're not actually true. And I became so curious, how can we build communities and living groups of people together that are based on life energy? And then I started thinking about how do forests exist? They exist with biodiversity. They thrive the best with diversity. And then I was like, well, how are we going to come together as diverse human beings where we're all reaching to the sun together? I mean, one of the beautiful things about where I'm living is there are trees everywhere. And I'm attuned to the fact that there's all these roots of very diverse trees crawling all over each other, strengthening a foundation to support really a collective thriving. And all the trees reach for the sun. You can see the canopy up at the top. They're all there going for the glory. So roots down below, canopy above. And I'm like, okay, then I want to experience that with human beings. So I started to build especially racial diversity. I care about all diversity, but I feel like if we can solve racism, we can solve every other ism, because race is at the bottom intersection of every aspect of intersectionality. And so I required my teaching team to become 50% racially diverse, and my rooms to be a minimum of 50% racial diversity. And then I wanted to see what would happen. Could we come together based on life energy and unite around life energy at the center that could hold all of our difference without sanitizing oppression? So we're not pretending that oppression doesn't exist, but we're saying that life energy is underneath oppression and can be liberatory. And I built this practice called collective power that is based on that there's a river of energy that connects us to the source, and it's called ether. Ether is the one river out of which all the other rivers flow, and it's also the joints in our body. So I was like, what if we connect at the joints of our wrists and just be together and let that ether current run through all of us, because life's in everyone and everything. What might happen? And while people were a little bit uncomfortable at first because we're not used to touching, but I would always say we're not touchy-feely and we're not, personality to personality, we're connecting life system to life system, people started settling in, and the current that was running through all of us became this life-giving energy that actually required every person to enliven for the health of the system. So I got to witness and be part of diversity in a room coming alive together. So I know it's possible. It's not just a good idea. And I've done it in prisons, in organizations, in teaching rooms, and I've seen it happen over and over again, where every life is truly valued, truly included, and truly holy.
Being in an intentionally diverse room, at first it was uncomfortable, to be honest, because I didn't know who these people were, what their thoughts were about people that look like me. And then I realized at some point throughout the day I was safe, and that my safety was being held in a way that was open and soft.
I think as a participant, it was more like a feeling that I couldn't perfectly articulate at the time. I think it was comfortable. It felt like being held. It felt like I was represented in the staff, not just around race, but around gender and sexuality as well. And there was a certain invitation that I feel like doesn't happen in predominantly white spaces, that was there from the beginning. And then when we started to talk about it, it was like, oh, let me put words to this, because it's a feeling of, it's like being in a salt bath or like a non-gravity experience. It's like being held like that, like womb-like being held. And having the experiences there really opened me up to what all was possible in polarity, in terms of my ability to be authentically and fully myself, because I was always navigating how radiant I was around the world. And so polarity gave me a chance to step into that unapologetically.
Being in the class and seeing other people that look like me and don't look like me and don't identify as me, like just such a diverse group of people that have suffered a lot too, but that were willing to give themselves the gift of life, or finding life, remembering life, it really gave me the strength to be like, no, like I'm worth this. And then also seeing their worth. I think sometimes you're so busy, you don't see other people's values and worth and their story. And that just feels you're connected. You feel like you're part of this big energy field, and that other people are there to support you. And even just saying the words that we say, I stand with you, for someone that may not have anybody else or other people understand it, it could be like life-saving.
My direct experience of my own living vibrancy, my own life force, my own animation, being able to access it directly told me that it was mine to have, and that it wasn't being determined by whether or not there was danger in the world, or whether or not there were things that might harm me. That had previously been my definition of safety, the absence of danger, or the absence of threat. And that definition really was keeping me away from having access to my own safety. Like, it was like this.
Yeah, bracing.
The bracing, enduring, numbing.
Yeah.
And so the direct access actually redefined safety for me.
Nice.
Like, safety became my capacity to access my own living vibrancy instead of the absence of danger. And so I could then look around me while accessing, feeling my own living vibrancy, my own animation, and I could still look around me in the world and be like, okay, is there danger here? while still having part of me be aware and experiencing directly my own animation.
Nice.
And it just changed. It changed everything.
It made me curious. It made me more curious because, one, I was curious about myself because I was like, I've been turned off and disconnected for so long that to know and feel that all this stuff is coming out of me, it was surreal to know that it had already been in me all this time. It was also a foreign feeling to tap into something that had been dormant for so long. But it was also empowering as well.
I feel like for me, the way that I usually describe it and the way that I believe it in myself is first and foremost that polarity is a constant nourishment. And it's always there. And I think polarity has also given me the awareness that agency is like a big thing for me too. And like the choice point of knowing like once you neutralize the mind and you're like, I'm worthy and it's all flowing through me and I'm always going to be connected to life in that way, I will always choose light.
When I think about specifically Black folks and Black women's lack of access to rest historically in this country, I think about what a liberatory practice it is just to slow down and to rest. And it's very important. I think that spiritually, it provides me the place where I can sit in my radiance. I think physically and biologically, it allows me to kind of break the generational cycles of high blood pressure and cardiac disease that disproportionately impact Black women, because we oftentimes are carrying entire families and the burdens of communities on our shoulders, and we're socialized to do that for a very young age. So I think rest is resistance. I think rest is liberation. And it's one of the things that I have become very intentional about passing down to my own children.
The biggest change for me on this journey, engaging in polarity work, and I'm not done, right? I'm not done yet, is I have learned to give myself a pause. One of the exercises that Suzanne gave me was just 5 minutes of someone who says I cannot meditate, 5 minutes to myself. Guided meditation. That's not about silencing the internal voice, but just allowing it to exist. I have a greater comfort with myself. I have a greater comfort with my purpose, and I feel validated in my own brilliance. And that is something that I was honestly afraid of before. And I want this for every other Black woman struggling to find herself.
For me, it's a matter of life and death. And that sounds black and white, but that's essentially what it is. Polarity and the pathway to just reconnecting to and remembering, returning to our essence of who we are provides for us. It's the only space and state being where safety is, where belonging is, where connection is. All of these things derive from that. And you want that for people. Absolutely.
When I wrote the book, the concept and the living model of soul consciousness operating through form to remember itself, I got through polarity therapy. And what I realized after writing the book, because polarity is all throughout the book, that I evolved with those concepts to apply it in a particular way, I would say towards human and social development. And it doesn't look like anything like polarity therapy does in the world. So polarity is really not the right association for what has gotten developed. And then it became clear to me, and this was after the book was written, that it's really the great reconnection. That's what I'm calling forth into the world, the great reconnection to your soul, to your birthright, to a way to live and lead from the soul within. And I have developed since then the Great Reconnection Signature Leadership Program to help leaders become soul-led and bring soul into leadership so that we're really building organizations and communities based on life energy and not systems of dominance and oppression. I think it's important for all of us to know that it is our birthright to be unapologetically radiant. And why not? One of the titles for the book almost was Life's Happening, Where Are You? If our soul's radiance is a current inside of us, a dynamic current, why not become that radiance unapologetically? Don't let anything outside of you diminish the power that's inside of you. You're made to radiate powerfully.
Doing polarity, it was something that was interesting to me because we started talking about how your body sometimes, how it has to protect you, right? And so it does different things with the trauma and how you have the energy that's flowing through your body. But what polarity was doing was helping you understand how to shift that energy that might have been hurting you. Now you use it to help you.
Taking time every day to connect with myself. Once I started to do that, that made all the difference in the world. I did start to feel myself.
For me to get to restoration, I have to slow down and rest. Honoring the needs of my body, spirit, soul, whatever that looks like in that moment, taking a minute to just say, okay, I have got to slow down. And ultimately, whenever I take that pause, I always remember what's important.
For the first time ever, I could feel people coming together with a common intention and just feel somehow intangibly connected. There was this certainty before we'd even started that this is going to be okay and everybody here's got my back. I don't have any concrete words. It's just a feeling that I'd never had before.
But it's a space of, okay, here I am in this space. I can still find rest in here. But when I can get out of different spaces, I can really deepen into that in a way where the external part can come off as well.
You know, I've been in a lot of leadership positions for a long time, and one of the things that I really shifted in is being resourced by the people that worked in the organization. So that I could be in relationship with them, be a leader, and yet not have to be at all. I could allow people to resource me.
Because we all deserve to feel alive and to remember our radiance. I think that's why we're here.